On today's episode of The Intangibles, we'll be kicking things off as always with the play of the game. At 8 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll get you caught up on the Webbmill Invitational Tournament meta. And finally, at 30 minutes and 6 seconds, we'll break down the 2022 Disc Golf European Open.
Nice.
Hey, yo, what up?
Nice.
It's Intangibles Radio with Kenny and Matt. Wake up, crew. Let's get that traffic report going.
Are we releasing this at like 5 in the morning or something?
Yeah, I don't know why. That's what I'm feeling.
This is Leonard Peebley with your morning weather. Gonna be sunny today, Ken.
I forget what we were talking about. Amber and I were improvising a song, I think. We were making up lyrics to a song, and I pulled out Dirk Diggler as part of the lyrics, which she really liked. And I took credit for it. I didn't even tell her that it was your thing.
Well, so are you familiar with the fact that that's a character from a movie?
I only know it because it's the name of your fantasy sports team that you always use.
That's right. Dirk Diggler's Dick Wigglers.
That's right. I corrected it to Dirk Diggler's Pig Wigglers.
Yeah, I mean,
that was very good.
A little more PC, I guess, but yeah. Yeah, you can't.
No, I didn't know what that was from.
You can't write out all of those characters, so all it says in fantasy is Dirk Diggler, but you know what it's supposed to be. Dirk Diggler is actually, I think, the name of either the porn star himself or the character he portrayed in the movie starred Mark Wahlberg. What's it called?
Oh.
I'm gonna hate myself for this.
Just look up Mark Wahlberg porn.
Boogie Nights, I think is what it's called. Yep.
Yeah, that's a tough one to look up, actually.
Mark Wahlberg porn star. I think you'd probably get there, honestly.
I think you would. You might find some other things that you could bookmark for later.
Yeah, some things that might get you there as well.
Oh, my God. Great one, Matt. All right, well, we got a big show today. Quick announcement for all the listeners. This is now a disc golf only podcast.
That's right.
Not strictly true, but, maybe for the foreseeable future it will be.
If you're here for video games, get out.
Well, we're about games, and right now, Overwatch is out, and disc golf is in. I keep getting lots of Overwatch League and Contenders League popping up in my YouTube, and I just can't be bothered.
Yeah, I haven't watched much of it. I still have enjoyed it when I've tuned in, but I've just had more of a hankering for something else.
So, yeah, why don't we start things off, as we always do, with the play of the game.
Poke chat, poke chat, poke chat.
And if you don't mind, I'll go first, because I want to segue from what we were just talking about. Even though I said, Overwatch is out, my play of the game is Overwatch related.
Unbelievable. Let's hear it.
So I am nominating a concept this week. I'm going to take a page out of your book, because I know you like to do this. And I am nominating going out on a high note.
Ooh, I love this.
So you and I had an Overwatch game sesh the other night. It's kind of, as far as two old men, you being a dad and me being very sleepy, it was a late night for us. Started at 8:30. Got on, played some Overwatch, hadn't played in, a week or so. And we just rattled off 5 decisive victories in a row, something like that. And we could have kept it going. We could have kept playing. It was still relatively early. I definitely could have. But instead, we just kept a perfect crystal of gaming brilliance. And I went to bed with a big smile on my face and slept great that night. It was a hell of a run. So the tangible part was us being on a huge hot streak. But the intangible play of the game is stopping while you're ahead. I
like it. I did. Yeah. I had the same thought when we signed off. It was like, I definitely could play another game or two. But what's going to happen? Is it going to be I lose now and I say one more win, and 2 hours from now we're still sitting here trying to make it happen?
Right. Or you just lose 2 in a row and then you go to bed thinking, that was a mixed bag of a night.
Tarnishes that record just a little bit, that feeling.
Yeah.
I like that. I like it a lot.
Well,
it's funny that you selected an Overwatch play of the game. because I also chose to Overwatch focus my POTG, and it was the same night even. But I'm going to give it to the whatever algorithm magic goes on in the background to put people on the board at the end of the game. In a truly, truly intangible fashion. The game didn't want to put you on the board the whole night.
That's true.
And I don't...
It did want to put you on the board.
Well, and I don't think that there was some distinct difference. Like, honestly, I think most of the time I was floundering, just fucking around and throwing Sigma spheres out at the enemy and getting on the board. And so I'm giving it to this algorithm in the background for truly having no idea what's tangible and what's not tangible, and giving credit to the people who don't necessarily deserve it. You know, the least tangible thing you can possibly imagine.
Is that a play of the game, though?
Yeah. I mean, I like to continue to get more meta and away from like an actual event, you know?
As soon as you started talking, I was like, this is once again going to be making fun of me in some underhanded way.
This is not
being on the board.
This is giving you good juju. This is saying you deserve to be on the board, Kenny. I won't hear any of that.
It is funny. In League, I play support primarily, or I've been playing support all season this year. And I play a handful of support characters, and I mostly play mages. So instead of being the support that's going to, like, you know, heal and buff and shield and stuff, I am just like a cannon sitting in the background launching stuff. And because of this and the way the algorithm works, the game is always like shocked at how much damage I do as a support. I often do the most damage in the game. And so it gives me like S ranks, like the highest rank, just all the time. And it's like you're saying, not necessarily because I deserve it. It's just like the algorithm, a quirk of the algorithm, basically. Mm-hmm. But damn, I look cool.
Yeah, it does not really know what quantifiable things like matter in a combined way to give it to, like, it's very simple, right? It's like, oh, this guy dumped out the damage like 30 times more than anyone usually does in this role. Here you go.
Exactly. And there's all kinds of stuff like that. Like Overwatch, you get gold damage when you're a damage dealer. It's like, yeah, good job, Whitby. All right, nice. I think those are both pretty solid entries.
I do truly love that we just announced that we're switching to Disc Golf Podcast and then immediately had Overwatch plays of the game. Hey.
I'm not surprised. I mean, that was such a prosperous night of gameage that it had to make the discussion today. It
definitely was. It left an imprint in my mind. You know, I did think about it the days after, hence coming up with a ridiculous play of the game around it.
Maybe there's something to us just not playing for a couple of weeks and letting our MMR reset.
I think that, and also sometimes you need a break from things, you know? Sometimes taking a little step back and approaching it fresh is beneficial.
That's true. Speaking of taking a break, actually this is the opposite. No chill. Let's get into the meta.
2 to the 1, from the 1 to the 3. What's up? This is Jeff from the Overwatch team, making changes that you wouldn't believe are going to take you out with a long-range beam.
And we have something pretty cool to talk about for the meta, because we're talking about the meta of a disc golf tournament that you and I are playing in, and that I am organizing.
Hell yeah.
This is the first ever Webbmill Invitational Tournament. So what is this thing?
This is an amateur disc golf tournament that is for our friends and family. It is being hosted at our parents' house, and we're utilizing your practice basket. Yep. Basically creating an 18-hole course built around said practice basket in a couple different locations.
Yep.
And yeah, we're going to have an 18-hole tournament with whoever is willing to play. And yeah, may the best man, woman, child, animal win.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so 18 holes, 2 different hole locations. So there's a front 9 at one location, set behind the windmill from which the tournament gets its name. And then another location at the far corner of what is a pretty massive yard. It's what allows us to actually play. It's a fairly legitimate course, I have to say.
Yeah.
Like, the course that I learned on in college was behind an elementary school. And, I like that course just fine. But I think this is, like, a better course than that one. And it's just in our yard.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. It's more interesting than the little 9-hole municipal course by me. And that's not to, like, shit on my local course. I love the little 9-hole
No, it's a great course.
But, yeah, our parents have a good amount of property with lots of trees and some undulation. And I think you've been creative in... Well, I guess both of us, I did help with the second 9. But you set up that front 9 initially, and I think... the use of the land is done pretty well. You know, we've explored some things to make it so that you have to use different shots and you can't just approach it with one thing you're good at the whole time. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's a very... You know what? We should get it to the public, put it on UDisc, have some people play it, get some ratings up, and see what happens. Maybe it'll be the next Pro Tour stop.
Well, I've been getting Mom and Dad to watch some Jomez Pro. And their comment is that we need to build a for real course that like goes down the logging road and stuff.
Oh my god, let's do it!
I mean, I'd be thrilled. That'll take some investing. But yeah, so the front 9 is generally easier than the back 9. The back 9 we call like the technical side of the course, and we designed it, you and I, to be a little trickier. So whereas the front 9, you have a lot more open space and shorter shots in general. The back 9, you have longer shots. You have a lot more out of bounds. The front 9 has no out of bounds markers. The back 9 has 2 island green shots. It's artificial island where you just mark it. It has mandatories. We have a gate that you have to shoot through. One that's an official like gate you have to get through. And another one that's just uphill through a tunnel, natural tunnel formed by trees and stuff. And huge shots from like behind the barn and behind the house. It's pretty massive, and I'm excited to see how this first ever run at the tournament goes.
Same, very much so.
So let's talk about the players real quick, and I think we should do this like official casters talk about like strengths, weaknesses, wild card, that kind of thing.
All right.
And I just have a list of the players. I don't know who all will be officially competing.
Okay.
But we're going to talk about them as if they're going to be contenders.
All right.
Okay. So I just put them in alphabetical order. I guess I didn't put this one on here, but Addie. Will Addie be competing?
She has been taking some steps, 4 or 5 chained together at a time. So I think she's ready to practice her backhand X step and get it out there. No, she will not be competing. Hopefully, I mean, our mother, Sandy, has agreed to be the baby watcher to enable Veronica to play or heckle. So...
fair enough.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't think Addie's going to make an appearance. She's working through some injuries right now, being tiny and feeble, and I think maybe in a few years we'll get her out there.
Yeah, she's got some physical complications being an infant. All right, fair enough. All right, so first official entrant. I don't know if she's actually going to play, but April, her sister.
April's a bit of a wild card. April's
very
known for damaging course property with her errant throws.
Powerful.
I think
throw.
the strength she has going for her is that she doesn't think about that last shot, and she doesn't really think about that next shot. She's living in the moment. She's throwing that disc, and she's moving forward. So if she's got a good streak going, that it doesn't really matter because she's going to keep playing like it's a new, fresh shot.
Yeah, she very much is a step up to the tee and throw, which I really respect. Not a lot of practice, which is like good. I feel like I get too in my head sometimes with my practice motions, and she just gets up, whoosh, wings it out there.
Yeah, she's not going to be dealing with getting too much in her head.
No, I don't think so. Also, she tends to come out with a bottle of beer, so she'll be, feeling loose.
Birdie juice.
All right, next entrant, Dad, our Father, who art in heaven.
Dad's got his consistent forehand. I think Dad's also not going to take it too seriously, but he is a competitor, so he's gonna try. He's gonna be putting him out there. I've heard he's sank some pretty decent putts over the past couple months, so if he can bring that putting game, that's really where heroes are made.
He does have a long putt. Like, pretty much every time I've gone out with him, he's sank a pretty impressive putt at least once. So, and I think another thing he has going for him is just the arc of improvement that he's on. He's gotten better each time he's gone out and thrown.
I was just going to say, he also is a ball golfer, and he knows how a golf game works, and he can probably make good, smart decisions because of that.
He also played some Ultimate in college, so he's got that going for him.
Oh, he did?
He did. They had a different name for it, but it was exactly the same sport.
What was the name? Do you recall?
I think they just call it like Frisbee football or something like that.
Powerful Frisbee.
All right, next up. And we're getting into some... I mean, the hits just keep on coming here. Aaron.
Ooh, Aaron. You know...
You don't know too much about her game,
So I think I've seen her throw one time. I think it was a video. Erin's got pretty good form, from what I remember. I think she takes it seriously. I think Troy and her both do. Yes. I think they watched professional before I did, right?
Yes. Yep.
So I think they understand and probably have seen some of those resources that I've been perusing in the past year. So I'll be interested to see what she brings out there. I feel like she'll be consistent whatever she does.
They definitely have played the most out of any of us over the last, X years. It's pretty much like their outdoor fun thing to do together. So they have played a ton. And they also have recently invested in a Zuka hand cart.
Oh, that's how you know it's serious.
Bare minimum, they're going to look pretty baller while they're out there. Which, that does go a long way, I think.
I'm excited just to take a look at the cart.
It's pretty sweet, I gotta say. It makes me jealous. I really don't need one. I just gotta keep repeating that to myself. Don't need it. Don't need it. Alright, next up we've got Jiren.
Jaren's a big, strong boy. I don't know if he'll be able to throw the disc far, but if I had to guess, he might be able to. He could also be a bit of a wild card, kind of in April's vein, and I don't think that he'll care too much or think too hard about any one particular shot or moment in the round.
I don't think he has played a lot this year. I could be mistaken, but I don't think he's gotten out too much. Yeah, he is a strapping man. I think he's got the most just sheer power that he could potentially put on the disc. But probably a little bit rusty, if I had to guess. But, sometimes that works out for you. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you get back onto the golf course, whether it's ball or disc, and for the first time all year, and best round you're going to have that year.
I feel like that's true every year for me now with ball golf. The very first round I play, I score better than I have, because you don't try too hard. You're not expecting yourself to do this much, and you're not overthrowing because of that. It's just, you keep it more contained and more natural, and it seems to go better.
Yes. I have definitely been in my practice runs trying to internalize what we talked about on our previous episode of keeping my power meter to 80% at cap. And God, it does make such a huge difference. All right. Next up, Troy.
I think Troy is going to be one of the hot to beats, honestly. I think Troy's going to be pretty solid, just based again on the fact that Troy and Aaron play quite a bit. I have played with Troy a couple times. I played with him. Actually, I played with Jiren and him and you when we stayed at your place one time. That was the first time I met those guys.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
And we played a woodsy course out by you.
Right. A couple of courses.
Oh, yeah. But I think Troy's going to be one of the potentials to beat. I think he's going to be bringing it.
Yeah. I think if I were betting, he would definitely be a front runner for sure.
He's a contender.
A lot of power. Troy has a lot of power in his throw. Really good form and a really good putt. I mean, he's just a triple threat, complete player, very strong. Veronica.
I think Veronica's going to be the number one, at least in attempts, smack talker. I think she's just going to be coming at it from I'm here to have fun. I'm going to talk shit to all of you. I don't really care how I score.
So she's going for the psychological game.
That's right. She's going for psychological warfare.
Fair enough. I mean, I think that's an angle that few are going to attempt, and I think few could compete with her on that front as well. And our last two players, you and I.
Ooh.
So do we want to talk about strengths, weaknesses here?
Should we talk about each other's? Like, should you talk about me and I should talk about you?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
And we could see how the other person responds to it?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I think that you have been doing a lot of practice on your sweet new black hole basket. And I think you've been doing a lot of approach shots and a lot of putting. And so I haven't played with you since then. And so I'm curious how far your game has advanced since the last time that we played. Because that could be a huge game changer out on the field if you've cinched up those parts of your game. I think you've got a pretty solid backhand. And I think your weaknesses, you don't have much of a forehand. And I would say you have a tendency in some of the games I've played with you, not just disc golf, but I'm thinking of like tennis too, of getting in your head a little bit.
Yeah.
So whereas April can just instantly forget what she just did, I think you can snowball in the wrong direction sometimes.
Absolutely. That's a great read. I agree with all of it. I've been practicing a lot, but a lot of what I've been practicing is also like not drastic, but significant enough changes to things that they could be detrimental in the short term.
Sure.
Which is okay, and I have to be okay with that. But it could turn into, like you said, one of those things where I get frustrated and nothing works. So
I think that's one of the hardest things about trying to improve in any sport is, okay, I'm trying to get better, so I'm going to get worse.
Yep.
While I'm trying to correct my form before I can improve.
100%. It's been tough. I also don't think I've been putting as much as I should in the backyard. I've been throwing like longer distance putts and approaches, which are fun and flashy. But you wanna win the cash, I need to scoot up a little bit and just start securing those 12-foot putts, you know?
Right, yeah. Guns for show, putts for a pro.
Putts for the dough.
Yeah.
But that was, yes, very, very good read. My forehand is a weakness. I'm working on it. My grip is my biggest thing with the forehand. I really need to find a grip that works for me, and been struggling with it.
Yeah. The pro grip just doesn't make any sense to me,
So,
but I also didn't learn it at all.
I was going to say, so I've tried to do multiple fingers, and I've tried to get more going on in the rim, and it makes it so much worse for me. Like, I went back to doing one finger because I can actually like direct it and get some spin on it. Yeah. And I think we've talked about this, I think last week too, you know, go with things that are natural to you, things that work. I need to step back if I'm going to make it work, especially right now. Like I cannot figure out the other grips, and that one does work. So I'm leaning into it a little bit.
I like that. All right, hit me up. Analyze my game, boy.
So you have a distinct advantage here in that I think you've probably played both courses more than anybody else.
Yeah, I mean, I've played it every single time it has been played. So.
Right. So I think that by itself is a pretty good advantage for you. You you probably have an idea for every single hole out there what you want to do to approach it.
Yes.
Your putting is strong. You've got consistent putting. You don't, you make the occasional long putt like the rest of us, but overall your approaches put you in a position usually where you don't need to do that. So I think that's good. Your backhand, I would say, is a weakness. Tossing the backhand is something I know you're working on and you're getting better at, but is still probably your least comfortable shot in general, especially from a drive. As you get to approaches and stuff, you're okay with it, but trying to go long distance on the backhand can be tough.
Yeah.
Your forehand is a very good strength, though. You've dialed that thing in over the years. That is your dominant throw, and you have both a throw that you're comfortable with and discs that you're comfortable with, and that combination is very, very good. And I would say in general, your head game is pretty strong. It always has been. You're not one to get to snowball like we had talked about with me. You're not one to beat yourself up, at least visibly, when that kind of stuff is happening. So
Yeah, it's true. I had back in my grad school days when I worked at the writing center, I had a colleague say that I was unflappable. I was like, that's a really good compliment. I don't feel that way, but,
but thank you.
Yeah. The backhand, completely right. Like, distance backhand has always been my biggest weakness. It's why I developed my forehand the way that I did. Although, like you said, I've been working on it, and I've switched discs, actually, on my backhand. I was throwing a Wraith, which is super stable, and I've switched off to a light T-Bird, and I've been happier with the results I've been getting there. So, might be busting that out on a couple of holes this weekend.
I love it. What speed is the T-Bird? Do you recall?
I don't. Why don't you go ahead and look it up?
Everybody loves the T-Bird. I've never thrown one. 7 speed. Wonderful.
It's very solid. I like it for forehand and backhand.
I feel like finding... This is a side note, I guess, but like when we first started playing disc golf especially, I don't feel like you could find discs between like the mid-range 5 speed and the driver like 10 plus speed.
14.
Yeah, like there weren't... And I'm sure there were, maybe we just didn't have access in Effingham, Illinois, but I don't feel like I remember seeing those like fairway drivers that are like things that the pros use all the time, things that people suggest you train with and learn on, you know?
Yeah. Well, I think the market for discs is just so much bigger than it was. It's crazy. It's a growing sport. I say that every time I talk about this.
I've got to grow the sport.
Last thing to talk about for the meta on the Webbmill Invitational Tournament is what's on the line. And what's on the line, the champion will get to inscribe their name on the Disc of Champions. And have I shown you the disc yet?
You sent me a Snapchat at my request.
It is a beautiful copper gold disc that has disc golf major champions on it. It's got Chris Dickerson and Paige Pierce in holographic print. It's beautiful. It is a ceremonial disc not to be thrown. And my vision is that we will just add names to the disc over time until it gets filled up and then get a new disc. I think it's going to be awesome.
I'm stoked for it.
And what an important one to get the first win and the first name on there.
I mean, it could be the start of a dynasty for all anybody knows, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm super excited. I can guarantee that we'll revisit this after this weekend and give a full tournament recap. Oh yeah, we will. Hopefully we can grab some video too. That would be good. Maybe we can even secure an interview with a player from the tourney. You know, depending on who wins, maybe we can get an interview with the champion. Oh my god, that would be great. Yeah, you can interview me. Well, I mean, I'll be here too. So one of us, between the two of us, we'll get it covered. Oh man. And then, you know, Erin wins and she doesn't want to do an interview. You know what? And that's fine. I understand totally. We got to get a media deal signed with her first. All I can say is I'm bringing the heat. I'm going to be trying my hardest. I'm going to be taking it very seriously. I am too. This is no joke. I mentioned, I don't know if on the podcast or just in our personal lives. I think I was talking to Troy about it, actually. It's so stupid because it's so meaningless, and I know I'm going to be actually nervous to play. I mean, yeah, you and me both. Like, there's something on the line, and honestly, a lot of that's bragging rights too, right? We're playing with all these people where you win this, and now you can be that guy in the Snapchat group. Whenever we get together, you can hold that above everybody. I'm excited for that. Totally. Whoever wins, I'm excited for that. I can't wait. All right, well, we're gonna take a quick break, and then we've got another tournament to talk about. We're gonna be breaking down the 2022 Disc Golf European Open. Do you love watching movies? Do you hate watching movies? Boy oh boy, do I have the show for you. On Watching Movies, April and Kenny watch movies. Instant classics like Pride and Prejudice and The Mummy. Despicable gutter trash like Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. Divisive, controversial picks like 2001, A Space Odyssey. Each month our hosts discuss and analyze a movie, then put out a watch-along commentary track, enticing. Whether you like watching movies or hate watching movies, you'll love Watching Movies with April and Kenny. Now streaming on your favorite platform.
Oh, let's break it down!
Why are you so angry?
And we're back!
Ba 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 ba.
It's pretty unfortunate because we said what we wanted to do going forward is cover some of the big tournaments going on in professional disc golf. And this is like the first one in a while that is hidden behind a paywall.
So that's, yeah, absolutely. And I am not complaining about that. I totally get it. This is like extra coverage basically for them. If you're a PDGA member, I think you just had to pay like $10 for access to it, so you still got a discount on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I actually have not really watched much at all of this tournament.
I watched a bunch of highlights.
Yeah. I've read and I've heard different things that have happened. But yeah, I'm excited to potentially watch more of it if they do release post-produced coverage. I'm not sure if that's happening.
I really hope they do, but I don't think they're going to. I don't know. We'll see. So, the European Open, it's been on hiatus since 2019 because of COVID. And so it's back. And everybody was really excited about it. It was really fun to watch all of the disc golfers produce content over there. I don't know how much you watched. Did you watch Simon Lazot's practice rounds with Eagle McMahon?
No. Oh, I actually did watch one of them, yes. And part of that was just because I haven't seen Eagle play, really.
I haven't seen him since I started watching professional disc golf. I've only heard of him.
Right, and he's been injured. He's been dealing with an injury that kind of had him sidelined. He played in the Champions Cup, I want to say, 3 months ago, but that was the only event he had played recently, and he's really only playing the big stuff right now just to give his body a rest, basically.
Right. Was it a shoulder injury or elbow injury?
So I believe shoulder is the primary driver, and his forehand specifically is like the problem throw,
right.
Which I found fascinating. I don't know if you saw him throw any left-hand backhands.
I did, yes.
Like his solution to not being able to throw a right-hand forehand is, I'll just learn how to rip a fucking left-hand backhand.
Yeah, it's absolutely absurd. Yeah, and he was doing it. So that was cool. And also, while they were having their practice rounds, they were mentioning there's a difference in disc golf in Europe versus in the States. Lots of kids playing disc golf in Europe. And they had some little kid, some Finnish kid, some fan of theirs, join them for like half their round in a practice round. Did you happen to catch that at all?
No, I didn't.
You gotta watch that. This kid, I think he's like, I don't know, 6 years old or something. He can outdrive me, I swear to God. You gotta check it out. It's really cool.
He's got the mechanics down. I did see Simon was very much like overflowing with like happiness and joy at the sight of so many kids being involved and playing. Like, to be on a golf course, a disc golf course, and see like 50% or more of the people being children he loved. And he made a comment that was hilarious to me, where he's like, here it's kids and they're out here and they're playing, whereas in the States it's like, bearded guys drinking beer and smoking. Like, and he's so accurate with it too. Like, that is very true.
Yeah.
And the things are shifting a little bit, but I just thought that was a great observation.
Yeah, it's very true. The course you were alluding to that you and I played at with Troy and Jiren had two notorious figures that we always talk about, which is Tie-Dye Santa. It was this big dude who always wore tie-dye shirts, big red beard. I never saw him throw a disc. He was just always hanging out in like the back of his like hatchback, like dispensing wisdom to the people going by. And then there's another guy who was like a wilderness man who was just always walking around the course, like, I don't know, tightening up signs and like unofficial maintenance of the course. Yeah, that's what I think of when I think of American disc golfers. So this tournament, the European Open, is taking place in Nokia, Finland, on a course called The Beast. They've hosted 6 European Opens since 2011, so a pretty famous course. Did you get a good sense of what this course was like? Do you have any thoughts about it?
I was able to watch some, not from really this round so much, but some of this course in general. I think, the course is great. I think, in general, Finland, I guess, has a really, really strong disc golfing scene, and there's courses everywhere, and this is a prime example of what to expect at those kind of courses, which is really cool. It's like a legit, has a bunch of money poured into it kind of course. You know, it doesn't feel like it's just your park district when you look at this course, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, they had all kinds of cool features. Again, this is from the Simon Lizotte video. They have a little, you walk through at a certain point, a little sensor that just ticks and tracks how many people are playing on the course, which I thought was pretty neat. To me, the course felt like a good balance of challenge, but also birdie eagle opportunities. Mm-hmm. The last tournament I watched was Idlewild in Kentucky, and it's cool and all, but I don't know. I wouldn't love if every course was like that, because I don't want to just watch the professionals hitting trees 50% of the time, going out of bounds because of goofy creek out of bounds and AstroTurf with no backdrop for the discs. I don't know. It's okay once in a while, but I'm glad that's not the default.
I think anytime you sway 100% in either of those directions of totally woods and OB and just impossible lines to hit, or totally open with no punishment, it's not fun to watch anymore. The players, it could still be challenging in certain ways, but observing it is not enjoyable. So I agree with that sentiment.
This year, I think the course I've enjoyed watching the most was the Preserve. I think was the best balance of those things.
Yeah, that was the Kale LaVisca design course. He does great stuff. Yeah, it's always fun to watch the Preserve.
Mm-hmm. My one gripe with this course, the Beast, is too many elevated baskets. Feels like 80% of the baskets are elevated, which I like them every once in a while because it's an interesting challenge. But it's if every hole were an island green. It's just, I don't know. It gets to feel a little gimmicky. Just want to see some normal shots, you know?
I can agree with that. I think that's part of the point of this course, if that makes sense. It's the same thing with elevated tee boxes and Mandos, I feel on this course. They put all of these things on here, and they call it the Beast. You know, they want it to be this kind of over the top.
Intimidating.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, I do agree, though, this is not the kind of thing you would want to see week after week, right?
No, I would not. Yeah. Last thing I had about the course, it's more about the tournament, I guess, is a legit trophy. They had a big gold cup that they gave to the champions, and I was like, hell yeah! It's not a piece of plastic or a wooden bear, or those things have their charm, but I like things that give legitimacy to the sports that I watch, and I think that's a good move.
I agree with that. I think something I found interesting, speaking of the legitimacy here, is that Ford is a sponsor of this tournament in Finland. So it's big enough there, it's big enough in this tournament, it's big enough in general right now that they're able to pull in a big corporate name sponsor, which is awesome.
I think that's cool. I think I even talked about this on a previous episode. People bitching in the League of Legends community during Worlds when MasterCard is sponsoring things, and Toyota is sponsoring things, and Bud Light, and it's what do you gripe? To me, it's we are here, boys and girls. We got real money coming into this sport. This is good.
Ford wants to spend, well, right now it's probably not that much, but it's $1 million in the future to be put on these events. That's fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I thought we could talk about big stories and then just kind of get into what the tournament was like. So going into the tournament, in the FPO side, you have Evelina Solonen, who is a native Finn and is one of the biggest arms in women's disc golf. She's really fun to watch, and she just recently was part of another tournament stateside and it was the first time I had seen her, and I was like, I really liked watching her, and in my head, I was like, I don't know why there aren't more women built like her in the game, because she has such a raw advantage because she's built so powerfully. Mm-hmm. And most of the women in the FPO are, tall, thin, or itty bitty. You've got your Owns, you've got your Paige Pierces, and they can rip. Don't get me wrong at all. But you do get a huge advantage if you're built solidly like Evelina is.
Yeah, if you've still got the mobility to combine with that. Which is interesting, like in the men's game, there are a lot of tall, lanky guys, but you still have like the Drew Gibsons and Paul Mcbeths out there who are, pretty sturdy guys who can...
Or Garrett Gerthy.
Garrett Gerthy, sure. Nathan Queen, like there's a lot of guys who they're solid, and you do get a momentum advantage from that, which is absolutely true. Well, and so Evelina, so I just kind of became aware of her this season in general, and throughout the first chunk of this year, she's had really bad putting problems, like the yips, more or less, is what I'll call it. Like she's just had some crazy errant throws. The putt has just not worked for her. But in this tournament, from what I understand, she was able to keep it together, keep it moving forward, and I think did she win the actual tournament?
She did not.
Oh.
So it was a pretty thrilling run from Paige Pierce, who over the course of the last 2 rounds made a big run all the way up, and then in the final round they were dueling back and forth, and then Paige eventually got it. And it was Evelina's putts at the very end that let her down a little bit. Much improved overall. Mm-hmm. But to me, it's like, this is good news for Evelina. Like, the sort of like up-and-coming talent, and if your big problem is your putting, you can fix that. Like, that's just putting in the reps, maybe some coaching, you can get that sorted out. Like, bigger problems are you can't get the distance,
Yeah, I hope she can push past that barrier, right? I mean, you have to think that a lot of that's a mental thing to overcome, right? Like, she obviously has the form to throw a disc, and she can obviously putt some of the time, so that is unfortunate to hear that it didn't work out for her. But I am excited to keep watching her, and hopefully she keeps improving that, and I think she'll be the next, Paige Pierce or the next Juliana Korver, who's just winning tournament after tournament after tournament.
Totally. The other story on the FPO side was Kat Murch, who's been very solid this season, put in a really good performance in this tournament as well. She's really fun to watch.
She finished third?
I don't think she finished third. She finished in like the top 5, I want to say, something like that. But yeah, good result for her. And then on the MPO side, the only story was the McBattle. So, like we said, Eagle McMahon back from his injury. Hilarious name. The first time I heard someone say his name, I was like, that sounds absolutely made up. And he is going against Paul Mcbeth, so that's why it's the McBattle. And Mcbeth, the GOAT, basically, won a bajillion tournaments. Is he also a 5-time world champion? Something like that?
Yeah, something like that. I don't know what exactly it is. Paul Mcbeth's probably the most medaled player on the MPO currently, is what I would say. He is the guy. I remember when I first started watching pro events, it was like, shit, this guy is just good and consistent and makes some crazy putts.
I was going to say, I think the thing that's most impressive to me watching him is he is just on the leader card every single tournament. Like, he doesn't always win, but he is always competing for the top spot. Like, it's crazy consistency. This battle was crazy, and it makes me so goddamn sad that I couldn't watch this tournament while it was happening. I mean, I could have, I could pony up the dough, but I wasn't going to do that. But to give context here, the final score between number 1 and number 2 over the entire tournament was -42 and -41, and then third place was Kevin Jones at -25.
Yeah.
Like, that is a lot of strokes.
Nobody was even close. Yeah, I remember reading about this today, like that they were so many strokes ahead. It really was their own game at that point. It just didn't matter on the last day what anybody else did.
Yeah. So there's two titans competing with mere demigods. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, minus 25 is an amazing score, like from Kevin Jones. So it's like being 16 strokes, 17 strokes ahead of that is absolutely wild. And in the end, it was McMahon who took the tournament, which I am super happy about. I think it's a crazy cool story that he came back from the injury, one of his first times back out, busts out this crazy left-hand backhand that he's been evolving, and then takes the tournament in such epic fashion.
Yeah, he's always been a good player, and when he's on, and sometimes when he's off, he's not, you know? Like, I feel like Paul Mcbeth keeps near that middle line much tighter than Eagle does.
Sure.
But it was really cool to see Eagle come in, and yeah, he seemed to be having fun too, you know, and just playing some great disc golf. It was great to see.
Very cool. And we have one last thing that we want to talk about, which I'm pretty stoked to discuss, which is Nikola Castro. So you've been watching longer than I have. Can you tell me about this guy?
Nico's been around for a long time. Nikko is well liked in like some of the old circles, if that makes sense. Like some of the older guys who are around still. I think there's a bond there when he was coming up, and they like want to help him, if that makes sense. But he's been historically kind of a pain in the butt player. He's notorious for time violations in general. And he's also a bit notorious for being kind of a jerk about it. So, like, I've seen it online commented about and talked about a lot over the last year when I've done this stuff. I've never really seen anything in tournaments or coverage that I've watched. I've actually watched him in some skins matches and some practice matches where he seems to be like a fine, you know, guy. But yeah, what transpired at this tournament was, I guess, him showing everybody like who he
his ass.
Yeah, I mean, who he truly is. Do you know like the full everything that kind of led up to what happened?
So they were watching him for time violations because it's a known thing. They actually had officials. So this isn't, most of the time we discussed this in our last episode. Disc golf is usually a player monitored thing. So you're on a card with 3 other people, and it's up to you to call things like foot faults and time violations and stuff like that, which normally you just don't have to do. But I guess this Nikola Castro guy is so bad about it that it's a thing.
Well,
and he's been called.
And my understanding. So, and I don't know if this is true for this weekend or not, but I know that there's rules in the book and how tournaments work where if a player on your card has issue or calls you for a time violation, they will basically get an official to come with your card then and be the one who enforces it, rather than continuing to have the players have to deal with it. So I don't know if that's why the official was there, or if maybe they had been monitoring it from afar and saw they were taking a while, so they put him out there. But regardless,
I'm not sure.
Yeah, there was an actual official standing there with Nikko while he's throwing.
And he got a time violation. You know, he's got a timer. He ran over the time. He gets called on it, so it was going to be... I'm not sure if it was going to be a warning or a stroke penalty, but the official's telling him, and Nikko gets up in his face, aggressively posturing, is telling him to step back. Just real alpha male douchebaggery, basically.
Real, you want to fight me, bro, kind of stuff?
Yes. Yes. That's a good way to characterize it.
Yeah, I mean, he was literally getting in the other guy's face and telling the other guy to step back. Like literally the one aggressing and telling the other guy to stop aggressing. Right. And then it continued, you know, like the guy didn't really back down. He just kind of stood there, which was awesome. And he didn't escalate it. He just kind of, and Nikko kind of continues to accost him. Apparently on the green of that hole, like, Nikko continued to try to just stare the guy down. And I think it was Nikko's caddy or someone else's caddy literally just stood between them and, like, was the human barrier between them on the green because it was so tense and ridiculous.
And uncomfortable. Yeah, and so what happened after that is the PDGA kicked him out of the tournament.
Get him off the tour, Doug! Yeah.
Yeah. He was disqualified. He released a really lame apology video where he was saying he doesn't want people to think of him that way.
I'm sorry all of you had to see that on camera. Is like I'm
Right.
sorry I got caught kind of thing.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm sorry that you now think of me in the way that I was.
Right, yeah, exactly. On top of that, his disc sponsor kicked him.
Oh, I didn't realize that part.
Clash Discs was a disc sponsor of his. They kicked him. They said, we will not do this. And then his other sponsor, I guess, that his uncle, I think is like the business development guy at, actually dropped him as well. And he released a statement, I think, today to the effect of, I'm taking a break from disc golf. Like I'm working on personal stuff and this and that. So basically with his one little, his decision to do that, he kind of probably fucked his entire disc golf career up.
Well, can't say it was just an isolated incident, unfortunately.
You definitely can't. And yeah, he's gonna have to prove some stuff to me for me to change my mind about anything,
I was gonna say, I'm in favor of people learning things and actually making changes. So if he can do that, that's great. I think you were telling me that Bradley Williams was also kind of a notorious prick. I didn't realize that.
And what I will say to Bradley's credit is that he's clearly worked on it.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, I've seen him in some stuff, and he just seems like a decent dude.
So he apparently, and I'll need to maybe fact check myself on this because I've only read this from other comments from people, but he apparently did something to a basket essentially when he was upset and got suspended for that, and then post-suspension was put on probation, more or less. And this is why I was reading about it. People were talking about Nikko's potential punishments. And they were saying that Bradley was basically on probation for a period of time because of that event. And so if anything else happened, the consequences would be that much more severe.
Yeah.
Again, like watching Bradley play, watching him with the other players, I think he's clearly trying and he's clearly keeping that stuff in control right now. And that's ultimately the goal of those punishments, right? Is to show you that there's consequences for those actions. You need to behave in a different manner if you want to take part in this. And he's doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it seems like, Nikko's taking himself out of the equation, but that's basically the punishment I was hoping for, is like basically saying, hey, anything like this and you will just be, banned. So get it together.
Yeah, so don't do it. Yeah. I do wonder, I don't imagine the PDGA would do this, but him stepping back, is that like them giving him control of the kind of suspension situation? Like, you can be the one to say, I'm taking a step back. You're going to be out this long,
It could be, looks better for him. And they would say, if you try to come back, we're just going to
Yeah, that was a shocking video when people, like, the disc golf internet exploded when it happened. I remember the first video I saw of it, and then throughout that entire night, there's just more details and videos and memes and just everything around it.
There is a good video called Nikko Breaks the Internet, Drama at the EO, and I highly recommend it to anybody, and I'll show it to you after we're done recording here.
Yeah, I have not watched it.
Okay. Well, we'll check that out. Yeah, it was, other than that, it was a sweet tournament. I'm sad I didn't get to see the whole thing. I guess one more note, because you already mentioned this. I know, like, some people were, like, mad that it was behind a paywall. Like you said, I'm not mad. It's like, it's content that they have every right to charge for.
Yeah. 100%.
For me, one of the beautiful things about disc golf is it's a relatively free sport, so I'm just not going to pay for it probably. That's just my personal choice, though. I don't feel like it's owed to me.
I totally agree. When you think about it from the terms of, like, if you are a member of the association, it's like you do get a perk related to it. You have to pay $10 because they're sending people overseas to film and produce
entire camera crews.
Yeah, there's money that is required for that stuff, and the sport is not big enough to, like, be self-sufficient in that way. Like, that's just not really how it works. So I don't have a problem with it. Would love to watch it. And if it comes out in any form that I can, I absolutely will. But otherwise, I'll keep watching the tournaments on Jomez and Gatekeeper and GK and just having a good time.
Yeah, absolutely. I've watched my first handful of skins matches, and they've been very entertaining.
They're fun, right? It's a whole different vibe because everybody's really just going for the ace or going for the run putt. Like nobody's not going for it at any given time.
Yeah. And you also get to hear Calvin Heimberg smack talk everybody.
Calvin's hilarious. I love Calvin. He does that apparently, but then he's also, like, beloved by all the players. Like
Sure.
I think I gave him play of the game for when he was with Simon. During that one tournament that Simon won, and in general, he seems like a sweetheart who knows how to
good-natured shit.
Exactly.
All right. Well, I think that is a good place to stop this week. Join us in the AM, Kenny and Matt. Disc golf in the morning.
Disc golf in the morning.